What's up, guys? Welcome to Unified Mood. As always, I am so grateful for you to be joining me here today. Today, I would like to welcome a very special guest to the podcast. This person has forged her career on being the woman who just goes for it, whose level of consistency is unfathomable. She is one of the founding women of the modern century fitness industry, who has created an army of empowered women who are relentless in transforming their lives in all elements. Owner of 2 companies, Rare Collective Official and Lauren Simpson, and my best friend. Please welcome Lauren Simpson to the show. Woo!
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually nervous to be on a podcast. It has been some time, but I'm really excited to be on here and get to chat with all the ladies who are listening.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like I'm nervous, excited, and I'm like, we literally were just sitting on the couch having a conversation, just chilling, and I'm like, why am I shaking? Why are my palms
now
sweaty?
We're under the pressure.
So today we are going to be delving into a topic which we both are firm believers of, that, comparison is the thief of joy, and we have both been in the social media world and under a spotlight for an extended period of time. So dealing with comparing to other people and putting yourself out there is something that we constantly do. So we're going to delve into that topic today. But little catch up. What's going on, Loz?
We have been busy bees lately. I've been busy traveling between here and Sydney. I've got America coming up in a couple of weeks, and there is just so much going on, but all good stuff, I feel like, this year.
I feel like it's so interesting. We were talking about it as a team with Rare as well, that, last year, I think we learned so much as a company, and even with creating pieces, marketing, photo shoots, every single thing that we did last year was kind of a learning curve for us.
Definitely.
And then this year we've kind of come into it and we're so headstrong and so focused with everything that we're doing, right? We are so...
I feel like everything's a lot more refined. We just know we've had all the teachings from last year and even the year prior, and everything we're doing is yes.
And we're stern about stuff as well. So if something's going through the design process, I feel like last year with some of our designs, we would be okay, let's just go to bulk. Let's just get the ball rolling. Let's move it to bulk. But I feel like we're really way more focused on it now, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And just the team as a whole as well, everyone kind of is really narrowed in on what they're doing. We know what we need to do. We've done, it's not our first time to the show, not our first rodeo.
No.
So every collection that we have been dropping, I think, is just getting better and better, which is really exciting.
100%. And even photo shoots and stuff as well. I feel like you guys would see so much of just the end product, and we're showing these really polished BTS scenes and everything like that. But realistically, what we've learned from every shoot has been so big. Think about February last year when we were shooting with Rocky and stuff versus what we do with shoots and the quality and video assets and stuff, as opposed to still images.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely evolved. I think, us as people, us as a brand just continues to evolve, and I think that's a really cool thing.
It's pretty exciting. It's very exciting. We'll do a podcast specifically on that topic though, because I feel like that's something that is... a lot of people would love to know what actually happens behind it.
I think so, because as you said, you only see the finished product. You only see the things that we wear when we bring it to market and when you guys get the product itself. But to actually get that product, it's taken us probably a year for that to make that happen.
The prints are the worst. I feel like you understand why so many brands just do basic colors now, and just the block colors and everything, because you're to actually develop prints is hideous. How many renditions we went through Bloom?
It was back and forth many times, many samples, and even just to get the colors right, even just to get the minute detail of what the circle flower inside the flower looks like, so
we should show you guys the original swatches, because honestly the scale of the flower as well was ginormous. It was so big. And what was the print? The tiger. So the tiger print we had, it kept on looking like a woman's vagina.
And we can't unsee it now from the collection.
We can't unsee it, but we designed that one so many times and it ended up amazing. But how many times by the end even when I was shooting it, I was hey, it still looks like vagina feels for me. But so today we're going to go into just talking about comparison and different times and elements that we've felt that we've compared to other people. I feel like particularly social media, that's a real focus for us, and how we deal and how we navigate with, when you do slip into that mindset of comparing yourself to another person and stopping it from spiraling you out and being able to stay in your lane. So Loz, do you want to jump on in? And what about you? What do you think in terms of like your social media experience? Like, who do you compare yourself the most to?
I think just to start, comparison is something that is totally normal. And I think a lot of people out there every single day would fall into a little bit of a comparison trap. And yes, social media, I do think, has played such a huge role in that, because we are comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlights reel. We are constantly looking at those very highly curated, aesthetically pleasing videos. You are looking at perfect homes that are completely
the morning
clean.
routines that are perfect.
The morning routines. But in reality, to film a morning routine, like, you get the shot where your house isn't super messy. You've done this.
The chaos behind it.
Yeah. So I feel like it is a highlights reel. And I think a lot of people, I showed on my social media the other day, I was like, this room, I had a really messy room. And I was like, this is the actual, this is what the house looks like. And I think a lot of people really relate to that, because you're comparing yourself. You're comparing your likes, your comments, especially as someone who is or does have a personal brand on there, a business on there. You are comparing, like, oh, they might have got X amount of likes. And I think I have kind of pushed past that mentality as I've gotten older or more experienced on there. But as I said, like, comparison happens in so many different ways, shapes and forms. Every single day, comparing yourself to like someone's success in their job, how much they earn, their body.
I feel like it's one of those things, like, it's just all bullshit. Like, it is honestly all bullshit what you're comparing yourself to. And I wish that there could be an alert that would jump up on your phone being like, yo, reality check. Like, to actually get this perfectly curated situation, it would have taken like cleaning, like, I mean, moving the tripod around for a get ready with me is like my honest worst nightmare. Like,
it's the 10-second, 15-second get ready with me video that actually takes you an hour to do.
And it's like versus like, and it's really shit, because like the thing is, like, if I actually filmed my get ready with me when it was like pitch black at 5 o'clock in the morning and I look homeless and the lighting was horrible and everything was like so bad, that you would look at it and it wouldn't get engagement. So it would never get the reach and the message would never get across. If you didn't perfectly curate it and if you didn't make it look amazing, Nook is just really wanting amongst it, that wouldn't get the engagement, your message wouldn't get across. And so you're sort of in a bit of a bind with it. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of like people that have like really forged their way in the industry of being able to do the balance of it. And I think that you do a really good job of like, I think stories are a really good way for people to be like able to see the reality of it more so than the highly curated. I don't know if you guys can see, but Nanook is like fully just like holding Lauren's hand, just jumping in there.
Yes, you want attention.
He wants his little perfectly curated life. But in terms of comparison to other people in the fitness industry, like, how do you feel that you navigate your way around, like, if you are, because obviously like it's your job, right, to study other brands, to study other personalities, to look what other people are doing. What do you do when you find that you are in we were talking about it the other day, when you're on social media and you get into like a vortex of scrolling and looking at other people, like, how do you pull yourself out of that and then like get back into your lane?
Yeah, so we were speaking about the other day, just for everyone out there, it's when you are on your phone, and especially as someone who does post on there frequently, you are a content creator and you consume so much social media that it starts to put you off your own game, because yes, you are constantly comparing yourself to other people's posts, or that idea is so good, or that the quality of that content is amazing, and you think like, what I'm doing isn't good enough. And yeah, I always feel like that, and it often polarizes me, and I'll sit there for hours and I'm like, I know I need to post, I know I need to put something up, but now I've just gotten down this spiral and I don't think I'm good enough to, so I just really pull back. So for me, it's all about just focusing on what I do and just putting something out there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I think that's been a huge thing for me as well. People like what they can relate to. Yeah. And I know a lot of people often shy away from posting on social media because they compare themselves to others and they just don't think that what they're doing is good enough.
Yeah.
So you do nothing at all.
But that's like, it's so true. Like, that is like honestly the worst of it too, because like, And I think most people wouldn't put themselves out there and they wouldn't be vulnerable and they wouldn't be raw and real because
the fear of judgment too.
The fear of failure, the fear of being vulnerable and being your authentic self, and that rejection, right? So let's say you did decide, like, you know what, I'm going to create something and I'm going to do something and put all my heart into it, and then you get that rejection of it, or maybe you don't get that validation from, so it doesn't pick up in the algorithm. It doesn't
That's the likes, the comments, the shares. You don't get.
And so you don't get that validation. And so you're creating and you're talking to, like, you feel like you're not talking to anyone, you're not getting that reach. But I think one of the biggest things is obviously, like, you need to be consistent, right? Like, you need to be consistent in social media and you need to be consistent in life with everything that you're doing. So, like, unless you do put yourself out there and be raw, real and vulnerable, like, you will never get anywhere.
Yeah, you'd never even make a start. And I think for me, that's always kind of what I have strived to do, is constantly be consistent no matter what the algorithm is doing. I've been on social media for years and years and years, and I've seen all the algorithm changes. My page has definitely gone up and gone down and everything in between. And I think that if I really let that shake me or stop me from doing what I wanted to do, then I wouldn't be where I am today. So for me, it's just, you know what, I'm going to put something out there. It might not go amazing, but I'm staying in my own lane and focusing on me. And that's kind of all I'm controlling what I can, you know.
If you didn't put yourself out there, if you didn't really be that raw, real, you wouldn't be the way that you are. And I feel like for you, even like with your brand and growth, like when I think about when I jumped into working for Lauren Simpson Fitness, like the most growth and the biggest audiences you've been able to establish is by being your raw and real self instead of being like the perfect person on social media.
Yeah, trying to be something that you're not. I think a lot of people fall into that trap of they idolize certain people or they try and emulate like what that person is doing, but it's at the cost of being who they are. Yeah. And that often, like, you can only fake it so much, you know, you can only fake who you are. So I think that when people start to kind of just pull back into themselves and put out who they genuinely are, content, you can really tell when someone is genuine on there.
I think it's really hard for people to be consistent when they're not being genuine on there. And so you'll see people on social media, you'll see fitness influencers and lifestyle people go up and down so much with their consistency, and their tactic and their approach is always changing and always switching up. And it's because they obviously don't feel aligned with what they're creating. They don't feel like truly authentic, and they don't feel like that they're putting stuff out there that like they should be. And it's like even like the get ready with me's and the morning routines and stuff, like it's really interesting because like all of the stuff that we do in them, right, like that's stuff that we do in our morning routines. Like that's everything that we're doing that is truly authentically like who we are and what we're doing in life. But it's just the pure like curation of it that's kind of like, I was like, I haven't had a door knocker. I literally, okay, I'm just going to put this in the cup because we're just like, Nanook is barking and there's like a Jehovah's Witness or something at the front. And I was like, I haven't had a door knocker since like pre-COVID.
I haven't had one for years.
I mean, your house is a little bit harder, but I'm like, I feel like when it was like pre-COVID, like you would always get, and the best thing of COVID was that they couldn't do it anymore. And you're like, thank God, like no bullshit excuse or anything like that too.
Absolutely.
But back to what we were saying. So the thing that we were saying is like, you know what, the hard thing about social media is trying to get that happy balance of being authentically yourself, being raw and real, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there, but also in a polished, curated way. And so like even with like training videos and stuff, like obviously Loz and I are always like shooting content for her. We're always like at gyms, we're always creating stuff.
I'm a perfectionist in a lot of things.
Really, she is. And it's like getting the angles right, making sure the educational cues are there. And it's like one of the things that we do as content strategists, like we are people that are observing the market, looking at what the trends and stuff are. It's like we have a bank of like reference points too that we'll like draw inspiration from. We'll be like, this person's a forerunner in the industry. This person's doing amazing things. And so when you're creating that content, the like level that you have to be evolving with the market, but also be executing, and the pressure for you, I guess, to like also execute at that level. Like, how do you feel that you do that? And like, what are your coping mechanisms when you feel like, like perfect example is like when Lauren doesn't feel like she's got content, like when you're like, I have no content whatsoever. And it's so funny because like we have hours and hours of Lauren doing content and stuff, and she'll be like, nah, I have no content. And I feel like you're the type of personality that you like new and fresh to always be working with, and so I think that kind of like fucks you up like quite a bit sometimes, because like she could go back and like re-edit old content.
I really could.
She could repurpose stuff and do it, but like you like to have fresh and new and like new outfits, and for it to be like
I think that's
exciting.
what keeps you feel like motivated to do it as well.
Yeah.
I think that if you feel it's new, it's you've got your newest outfit on, you've got this, it feels a little bit more exciting for me to then sit down and edit.
Yeah.
So
even the content we did the other day, though, it's like one of those things that you're like, oh, I'm really excited to create it. Like, I'm really excited to go and sit and do those edits now. I mean, I've given Lauren a very high-level execution of a particular video, so I'm just waiting for her to roll that out. We'll see.
I'm yet to get onto that one yet.
There's tiers to it, so when we get to that point, that will be an exciting day. But I think that it's like anything that you're doing in the content creator world, like obviously we're talking heavy about content, because I think for us as creators, like that's probably the biggest polarizer. Like I have so many assets on my phone. Like literally I have so much stuff that
Remember how we were talking the other day in the car and we're like, let's have a pact, because both of us have so much content banked up in our phones. Yeah. We've probably got amazing photos. We've got videos. We've got a whole lot of stuff that we could easily be putting out to the world, posting twice a day, but both of us are so hard on ourselves as well. And
I think it's just like, obviously like it's such an amalgamation of like it's like you might want to post twice a day, but then it's like, oh, that's going to desaturate like the audience, like they might not get engaged with it. So it's like, what do I want to put something out there that could impact one person, which ultimately like that's what we always have to be thinking about. If it has a positive impact on one person's
day, then
that's what counts.
You've done.
Yeah, that's what matters. Well. But because we're numbers people and we are looking at reach and we are looking at engagement, like you don't put it out there. So it's like one of those things that it's like you're comparing yourself to other people. Like you're looking at other people who are executing on, like, I think for me, one of my biggest things is that there are so many competitors out there these days that do so many channels. Like, how the fuck these people execute on so many channels. It's like you're on TikTok, you are on Instagram stories, you're YouTubing, you're podcasting, you are on like real, like it's insane the amount of content. And I think that it gets to a point where you're just like, A, how the fuck do I compete with that person? But also B, like, how is there enough hours in the day to be like taking on that sort of like level of execution?
Yeah, definitely. I think for someone like you, obviously you work full time too. You've got your own side hustles as well, and there's
no way.
There's only so much time one person humanly has, you know, to be able to and then execute at the level that you want to. Because as we were saying before, like what we do, we want to be putting out really good stuff 100%. For everyone out there. We don't want to just be putting out shit. Yeah. So I think that to be performing at a really high level,
you just have to dial it down a bit. Like, I think that's another comparison thing as well. And I think that, like, I've got a bit better mentally about that too. And it does just taking, like, a bit of a reality check of, like, you know what, like, you can't do everything. Like, at the end of the day, some of these people, which, like, this is a comparison too, right? Some of these people have armies that are working behind them, which you're not seeing on social media. You're not seeing, like, the 10 team members. You are not seeing all of the different people that are doing different jobs. And so you're comparing yourself to someone who might have 20 people working under them doing it. And I feel like even with Rare, I think that this is a perfect example of comparison to, obviously Rare, how old are we now? Like two years, right? And the level of standard that like Loz and I put on the brand / the team of execution is insane. Like we're really only a small team. Like there's Loz does like 10 roles in it. Like me, I do like 10 roles. Yep. And then we got Ian that does graphic design.
Sandra, fashion designer.
One warehouse,
one
customer service /
influencer marketing.
Yeah. And you've got to think, like, we'll look at other brands, like competitors and stuff who are established for a significant period of time and probably have teams 50, 100, 150 and stuff. And we're like, we need to be doing this and we need to be doing that.
Yeah.
And we do actually get so much done.
I think that's definitely something I've always, been so proud of the team at the level of execution and what we're doing as such a small team versus, and I myself look at all of the big brands and I'm like, oh my God, like this. And then you forget, like they've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
They've built up that base. They've got the structures in place. They've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
So, and they've got a massive team as well. So of course they're going to be at that level.
I just think about like whenever we take on one person and when like something role is taken away from like one of the things, and as it grows and stuff, you're like, oh wow, having one person dedicated to is insane. Even like with just email marketing, like that system is being built out for us at the moment. We're taking on sort of more team to like shift some of that over and everything. Even just seeing someone who is specifically qualified in that niche and that's like their actual focus and drive, that's like, oh wow, it's so cool. And I think that's a reality check for when you're comparing yourself to other people. And I feel like particularly a lot of your audience, right, like they're coaches, they're like people in the fitness industry, they're starting with small businesses and stuff. don't compare yourself, and particularly branding and everything like that, if you're a business, to people that have been around a long time.
And this is the classic example of don't compare yourself to someone's chapter 1 to someone's chapter 50, you know, like
100%.
If you're comparing yourself to someone who has been doing it for years and years and years and you're just getting started, of course you're not going to be at that same level as what they're at.
No.
But if you're comparing yourself to that
I
directly.
feel like this is actually the like prime example, because when I moved from Adelaide and I came to work for Simpson Fitness, it is such an illusion, which obviously companies and brands do like such an amazing job, that there's just one person working for it. Like mentally in your mind, when I'm seeing you talk on your stories and stuff and you were selling your products and everything, I would just be thinking to myself, it's just Lauren doing it. It's just Lauren doing like all the code, all of that stuff, like all of the websites and the advertising and stuff.
She is a super
no, but like that's honestly, and I think a lot of people would be doing that comparison too, and then they would be thinking to themselves when they're executing at the level and the standard that they're at this moment, their day 1 or their day 10 or wherever they're at, that you would be thinking, oh my fucking God, like how the fuck is she doing it? Remember, when you're comparing yourself to other people, that the end product is in front of you. You're looking at something that's polished and beautiful and sitting in front of you. But to get to that end product and to get to that, there is a lot of talented humans that are making it all happen and make it flow the way that it does to present you what it is. And I think that's a comparison of the thief of joy, right? You're doing your best that you can. Like you're in your lane. You're really trying. I feel like some of the content that you and I do is amazing. Like some of the content that we create is fucking incredible. And there would be people that would look at our content and be like, oh my God, that is insane. That's so good. But then we're like, oh no, shit, I'm so hard on myself. We're like, oh no, that one was like
perfectionist mentality, being hard on yourself. And
right. And you're like, if it didn't get particular reach or engagement and stuff, but it's like still, just always go back to when you're creating content, or if you're being like out there, that like if you make an impact on one person's world, and that goes for like not just content creation, right? That goes for every single day life. If you're in a 9-to-5 job and like you're really just like you're looking at senior people within the company and everything like that, don't compare yourself to your right now. Like use that as motivation. I think that that's really important for the comparison thing as well, that like you need to be motivated by it, and instead of being crippled by the idea of I could never, using that as like, you know what, one day I am going to be at that standard. That's your
motivation, you know. And I think a lot of people, like for me, I always think I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, as I say. Like you don't want to be the smartest, you don't want to always be the top, because you want to surround yourself with people that are also like, that are better than you, because they're the people that you're learning from, and they're the people that you aspire to be like. So instead of hating on them and judging them, like use them to learn from. Like if you are on social media, you're like, oh, look at her, blah, 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 she looks like she has it all. She's actually probably worked freaking hard for what she has. And 100%. Instead of trying to tear her down, well, how did she get there? What can I do to emulate what she's done, you know?
And maybe if you can't, let's say for content creation, and maybe you can't execute exactly at the standard that she does because she has equipment and things that maybe you can't afford right now. What could you take from that, like to apply to your right now and give it a go and to rework it? And I think it's really important too to make it your own as well. Like always use people that are around you and senior and great things as motivation and inspiration, but like how do you make it your own and like how do you make it authentically? And I think that goes back to what we were saying before about your consistency and approach and everything, that when you're not authentic, when you're not being truly yourself, that it won't happen. So if you're constantly copying someone, and I've seen people that are around, like obviously like I've worked with Lauren for a really long time, I've studied the market for a really long time, like seen a lot of fitness influencers copy campaigns or like copy certain things and elements and talking points and stories and stuff like that. And I'm not looking at them and being like, oh my God, how dare they copy? I'm like, fuck yeah, they're like learning from her and they're trying to like emulate something that's really aspirational, right?
And it kind of pushes you then to do better. It's like, okay, well, how can I keep doing better? How can I keep evolving? What can I do differently now?
I want to be better for you.
I want to be pushing the boundaries. I want to be pushing that next level,
Honestly,
level.
our campaigns for LSF, that was like...
Look, we went to the desert. I did snorkeling. I went underwater.
If you guys remember the campaign, that was, I think was that my last campaign? No, it was like at the end of... The jet ski. It was like this Lara Croft, like Tomb Raider, like James Bond campaign that we did.
You even got me to get my hair wet when I
know
dived
Lauren never...
underwater.
Yes, Lauren never gets her hair wet. And she fully got under... It was insane. It was this high level. It was honestly like a movie. It was the coolest campaign.
I felt like Tomb Raider. I felt like I was in a PlayStation game.
Yes, it was like literally Tomb Raider vibes. And it was so like, for us as creators, not only was that so exciting because no one had ever, I still haven't seen anyone ever done a challenge like that before.
No.
Like I've never seen that sort of execution, and shout out to Jeffo, our wingman of video. He fucking slayed it. I have never seen a fitness campaign come out to this day that was like at this level of insane cool.
On another level.
But as creators as well, I think that that was a prime example of us, we didn't have a benchmark. We weren't comparing to anybody else. We were fully in our lane and fully submerged with like everything that we were doing. And the same goes with like everything that we do in terms of our campaign, like Rare and stuff like that too. I feel like we really stay in our lane. I don't think I ever would like shoot, even like Ian, our graphic design, he doesn't seek inspiration for campaigns from like anyone else. Rare really doesn't have like direct competitors, particularly for the Australian market. Like obviously we like have competitors, like, but we're very much a brand that's so unique and different and like colourful and bold prints and exciting and bodysuits and jumper dresses and like sleepwear. Like
yeah, we're just doing things differently, and what's our little thing, inspired by the fear of being average. Like we want to be doing different things, and I think that that's, as you said, like that's what makes it unique. And we love standing out in the gym, and I love walking into the gym in my floral onesie and your leopard onesie, and everyone's like, wow.
Yeah, I love that too. And I love the idea that like you're inspiring people too, right? Like I love the idea that activewear can really inspire people to be like, wow, those girls wear it with such confidence and they're just owning it. Like, I don't think I ever, even if I'm wearing the most bold, bright, crazy outfit, maybe some of my dresses, if I'm like really, really out there and I'm going out to the club and stuff because people are really gawky. But when I go into the gyms and stuff like that, I am always so proud. Like, I'm so proud to be different. Like, I am so, so proud. Yeah. And like, I think that if you are someone that is like really getting bogged down with like not feeling good about yourself and you are really comparing yourself to the girl that's next to you at the gym, like be different, like make the decision, you know what, maybe I want to be different. Maybe I want to put myself out there and just like really start to learn how to own your lane and stay in your lane.
I think the moment that you do flip that switch as well mentally, then that kind of pushes aside all of the comparison. As soon as like you are so confident in who you are, what you stand for and who you are as a person, then I feel like that's something as well, like as a coping or like a strategy. If you are comparing yourself to others, like a lot of the time people are so focused on their weaknesses. You're like, I'm not this, but she's that. But if you're like, well, I know my strengths, I'm really good at this and I'm owning that, then that's that confidence piece. And it's like the comparison kind of goes away if you're so like, this is
authentically me to the world. And I think a lot of people are so terrified to be their authentic, real, raw and self. Like it is so scary in the day and age that we live in. We live in a call out culture. We live in a society where like obviously like on TikTok and stuff, we have virality in certain personalities and it's like that sets the benchmark of like what, I mean, you live in a generation where the Kardashians have set a benchmark of like what a person should look like, how they should act and like a certain standard. So trying to break out of that ripple, trying to actually try and own who you are, it can be really scary and it can be confronting and it can be hard. But like if you are really consistent in just saying, owning who you are, owning everything that makes you uniquely who you are and stuff as well, then it's not comparing. You're not using people to be like comparing yourself in a bad way. Like you're getting excited by the idea of like if someone does something cool, like that you can also do something cooler and different, like and apply it to your circumstances as well. Like I think of all the times that like growing up that I've compared myself to other people, and I think that we're all like, you know, we're human. I still compare myself to other people. I absolutely do, but channeling that energy in a different way these days and using that to focus on staying on your lane and really wanting to do great things, like I think that that's really important for it.
Yeah.
But, and obviously we're talking about content, like if you are someone that's like, you know, you're not really making much money at the moment, right? Like that I think is obviously a huge pain point for a lot of people, and it's like they might want to buy certain possessions or they might want to live a certain life and they want to have a certain way of being. Like don't get so polarized by other people doing great things around you, and instead use that as fuel to like your current circumstances and how you can make your life like that much better.
Yeah, spot on.
I think but like, I think it's so interesting, particularly with material possessions at the end of the day, right? Like it's just possessions, right?
Exactly.
It's just like
I think both of us are really good with that too. We don't get so hung up on the materialistic.
No, I don't think we ever really. I mean, we've maybe talked about sneakers and like outfits and stuff, but like neither of us have ever been like really like crazy into like designers or like car conversation. Like I don't know, I don't think that that's ever been like a driving force for us. Like of course, like let's be real, like we want to make fucking money, like we want to make bank. Like it's so naive to sit there and be like, I'm just doing this as a charity. At the end of the day, you're working fucking hard because you want to
be successful. Yeah. Financial freedom.
Yeah. Buy and travel hard. And to like, you know, live in nice homes and to like be able to just like, I feel like for me, even it's just like financial freedom looks like even just being able to go and eat nice dinners and have happy moments with your friends and things like that. That's financial freedom for me. Like that's the most important. Like I'm not a tangible possession person. I feel like you're the same as well.
I'm the same. Like I've always, over the years, I've always wanted to spend my money on creating memories or having the best night out with my friends or being able to travel and do cool things. Like if that would, like back in the day, like when I didn't have all this money to be able to, like it was the memories that I wanted to create. I didn't care about having a fancy car or anything 100%. Like that.
And it wasn't, and it's not your driving why as well. Like I feel like each of us have fallen into our professions and like what we're doing in our career and stuff, not because it was financial stuff, that it was very much that, and comparing to other people's financial, like I never became a personal trainer or became a content creator because I was comparing myself to other personal trainers or content creators. Like it was because like it generally lit up my soul and then everything's rippled off after. So I think if you're in a position at the moment where you're in a 9 to 5 and you're fucking hating your job right now, you're comparing yourself to particularly, you know what, comparing yourself to influencer lives, like pure influencers, not hustlers. Like I think if you're looking on social media at like girls like hot girl walks and stuff, and their life and their days and their day in a life is literally going for a walk, getting a coffee,
picking the cutest fit, going to get the latte,
going
to the hot girl walk,
just going to a studio like and shooting content and then posting outfits. Like if that's what you're comparing yourself to, like I just want you guys to have a reality check that these people in majority that I've met over my time are the most insecure, miserable, sad humans because they have no purpose.
It's very much a lot of the time like smoke and mirrors too. Like you're seeing these lives and like I want to be that girl, but do you really want to be that girl?
No, I think you want to be you want to be you as a girl. Like you don't want to be that girl. I hate like that hot girl and that girl sort of vibe. Like I feel like the definition of that girl needs to be more so like you
that
are
girl
that
is
girl.
You, who you want to be. Like correct. You define who that girl is.
Correct. And so you're not comparing to that girl. You're comparing to your standard of like quality and like your life and what's happening with you and what ignites your soul and makes you happy. So I feel like comparison is like I think it can be used in a good way. I think that comparison really gets like a bad rap. Like obviously we're saying it is a thief of joy, but if you're able to use comparison to really fuel your dreams,
inspire, motivate you,
keep on driving harder and to really focus. You need to be able to drift into your comparison. Like if you're doing content creation and comparing to other people, drift out of that space and flip a switch and be like, you know what? Okay, inspiration, not comparison. I don't know what happens in behind the scenes of that person's life or what's going on there. But I hope you guys enjoyed this chat today. We loved having a little conversation about it. I feel like we could just keep on talking for hours.
We could probably record most of our days of conversations. They'd end up as a really good podcast episode for you all.
Sometimes we have like really motivating.
Yes. Remember we used to do our Q&As?
Yes. I feel like we could just getting podcast setups in it. But we have like full on in-depth, like such heavy conversations. So like we wanted to sit down and like when we did the Hype Girls, like we know that you guys loved just being a partaking in those conversations. So if you enjoyed this podcast, if you would like to see more of us having these conversations and chats, make sure you share the podcast on your stories, hit us up in the DMs, give us a comment and a share. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a beautiful day. We hope you're a kind person to other people, even kinder to yourself, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
Woohoo! See you guys.